For thousands of years, we've looked out at the world and asked this one huge question: what is the true nature of reality? It's a question that's driven philosophers into deep meditation and pointed scientists' telescopes to the farthest reaches of space. And what's absolutely incredible is that these two very different paths, well, they seem to be leading to the exact same mind-blowing conclusion. So let's dive into how that's even possible.
It's a feeling we all have, isn't it? You're looking up at the night sky, at all those stars and galaxies, and you just wonder about permanence. You wonder if anything really lasts. If the entire universe is changing every single second, what part of us, or well, anything actually, stays the same? That very question, that's our starting point today.
All right, so here's the plan. First, we'll look at the big picture, the universe in motion. Then, we're going to zoom way in, from the scale of stars right down to our own cells. After that, we'll explore the super weird world of quantum physics to feel the pulse of matter itself. And finally, we'll talk about what this all means for us, for our fears, our faith, and ultimately, our freedom.
So, let's start with this idea of a universe that's always on the move. We're going to look at two really powerful ideas from two totally different traditions that, as you're about to see, are basically describing the same cosmic dance. They're just using a different language to do it.
On one side, you've got modern science, and its concept is called entropy. On the other, you have ancient Buddhist philosophy with its core teaching of Volthuren, which means impermanence. One talks about an unavoidable slide from order into disorder. The other talks about the simple truth that, well, nothing lasts forever. Let's break down what they both mean.
So what in the world is entropy? It's honestly one of the most fundamental laws in all of physics. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that in any closed system, think of it like a sealed box, disorder, or entropy, always goes up. I mean, think about it. It's way, way easier for a sandcastle to crumble back into a pile of sand than for a pile of sand to randomly build itself into a castle, right? Chaos is just more likely than order. And on a cosmic scale, that means things inevitably fall apart.
And here is the really big takeaway. The entire universe is the ultimate closed system. Ever since the Big Bang, it's been expanding, cooling down, and getting more and more disordered. Stars burn out, galaxies drift apart, things decay. It's a one-way street, a fundamental arrow of time woven right into the fabric of reality.
Okay, now let's flip over to the other side of the coin. Volthuren, or impermanence, is a central idea in Buddhist thought, and it says that literally everything that exists because of certain conditions. So every thought you have, every star in the sky, every mountain on earth is constantly changing. Nothing is permanent, because the conditions that create it are always in flux.
In Buddhism, this whole process is described by a universal cycle. Sing, which is birth, true, existence, zi, which is change or decay, and finally, ziet, or dissolution. And this isn't seen as some big tragedy. It's just the natural, unending rhythm of the cosmos. It applies to everything from a single breath you take to the entire lifespan of a galaxy.
Okay, so we've got these two huge ideas, one from science and one from philosophy, both pointing to the same universal drift towards change. But this isn't just some abstract cosmic rule we're talking about. It is literally written into the fabric of life itself, from the stars way up there to the very cells inside of you.
I mean, just think about the story of, well, everything. It all starts with the Big Bang, this explosion of pure potential. Out of that initial chaos, the first stars forged themselves into being. Those stars lived, and then they died, creating heavier elements, and from their ashes, our own planet Earth was formed. And on that planet, life appeared. The whole story of existence is just one of constant, non-stop transformation.
And this is where it gets really personal. This isn't just a story about distant galaxies. The death of ancient stars is the very reason you are alive right now. The iron in your blood, the stuff that carries oxygen through your body, was literally created in the fiery death of a star billions of years ago. The end of one thing was the absolute requirement for your beginning.
And check this out. The parallel gets even deeper. Science talks about the evolution of life through natural selection, this constant process of change where species have to adapt or they disappear. Well, Buddhism has a concept called Dween Sing, or dependent origination, the idea that everything arises because of other things. A flower depends on the sun and rain. New life depends on the decay of old life. They're both describing this beautiful, interconnected, ever-changing web of existence.
So we've seen change on the biggest scales, cosmic and biological. But what happens if we zoom in? I mean, way, way in. down to the fundamental building blocks of reality itself. Well, get ready, because this is where we find out the world we think of as so solid and stable is anything but.
Welcome to the wonderfully weird world of quantum physics. Scientists have found that even in what we call a total vacuum, or empty space, tiny subatomic particles are constantly flickering in and out of existence. They pop into reality for an impossibly short moment and then they're gone. At its very core, reality is like a seething, energetic foam. Nothing is ever truly still.
And this is where the parallel becomes absolutely mind-bending. More than 2,000 years ago, without any particle accelerators, Buddhist philosophy developed the concept called satna sindhiyet. It describes reality as being made up of these satna, or impossibly brief moments of time. And they taught that in each and every one of those moments, all of reality arises and then completely vanishes, just to be replaced by the next moment. It's an ancient idea that sounds shockingly similar to modern quantum field theory.
This quote from the famous Diamond Sutra just nails it. It tells us to see all conditioned phenomena, that's everything that exists because of causes and conditions, not as solid things, but as fleeting and temporary, like a dream, or a bubble, or a shadow. It's such a beautiful, poetic way of saying that what feels so solid to us is, at its heart, just a dynamic, transient flow of energy.
Okay, so the universe is always changing. Life is always evolving, and matter itself is just a fleeting dance of energy. This brings us to the most important question of all. So what? How on earth are we supposed to live our lives knowing that everything, including ourselves, is fundamentally temporary? Well, from one point of view, this whole idea can seem absolutely terrifying. Some physicists have even called entropy the most pessimistic law in all of science. It predicts a final fate for the universe called the heat death, a future trillions of years from now where every star has burned out, all energy is spread out evenly, and all motion, all life, just stops. Forever. It's a final, absolute end. But here's the incredible pivot. Buddhist thought looks at the exact same reality, the fact that nothing lasts, and it comes to a completely different conclusion. Instead of seeing a terrifying end, it sees impermanence, vote thurn, as the actual key to freedom. It's not the problem, it's the solution. You see, the big idea here is that suffering doesn't actually come from the fact that things change. It comes from us, from our desperate attempt to cling to things as if they were permanent. We want our youth to last forever, our relationships to never change, our happy moments to be frozen in time. We're essentially trying to build a solid house right in the middle of a flowing river. It's a struggle we can never win.
The logic here is actually super straightforward. Step 1, we try to hold on tight to things that are, by their very nature, changing. Step 2, this clinging, this fighting against reality is what creates our suffering. So step 3, if we can learn to truly see and accept the nature of change, the clinging just naturally starts to fall away. And step 4, in that act of letting go, we find our freedom.
And when you really think about it, this law of change is the engine behind everything we value. Without impermanence, there's no evolution. Life would just be stuck, unable to adapt. There'd be no creativity, because that requires the old to make way for the new. And there'd be no freedom from our pain, because even our suffering would be permanent. And so, here we are, full circle. Whether you get to this understanding by studying the second law of thermodynamics with a telescope, or by simply observing your own breath in meditation, the destination is exactly the same. It's this profound shift in how we see everything, where a law that seems terrifying at first is transformed into a beautiful, dynamic, and totally liberating reality. And this brings this huge cosmic principle right back home, into our own lives. If nothing is permanent, if every single moment is appearing and then vanishing, it makes this moment, right now, unbelievably precious. It's the only one we ever really have. So the final question isn't about the fate of the universe trillions of years from now. It's about us. If everything is just a flow, what does it truly mean to live fully, right here, right now?
Health is the most precious gift. If this video helped you or someone you love, please like, subscribe, and share so more families can stay safe and healthy.